Hello, welcome to Campus of Fashion. My name is EJ McPherson, and today I would like to demonstrate how you can use Affinity Designer to create your sewing patterns. If you are a person who currently uses Adobe Illustrator, and you want to get away from the subscription, this is definitely an option. And if you haven't heard, Canva, who currently owns Affinity, has made Affinity and its entire design suite free. So you can go over to affinity.studio and download it for free. You may need to sign up for a Canva account, which again is also free. And this is basically what the website looks like, and just click on Get Affinity. Now I already downloaded and installed the software, so we're going to jump right into it. And this is just a demonstration of the simple techniques that you can use, like slash and pivot and spread, when you're creating your patterns. If you want to have me give you a little more demonstrations for creating patterns, let me know in the comments. Okay, so on my screen, I have a skirt pattern. This is not to size. This is just something I just quickly drew up so that it can, just for demonstration. So this is not an actual large scale uh, skirt pattern. So the first thing is that once you open Affinity, you're going to see that you have these options up on the left top. Here you have vector, pixel, layout, and then Canva AI. These are basically the three programs within Affinity. The program that we're going to be in is Vector. Vector is the equivalent of Adobe Illustrator. And if you had Affinity before, Vector was also known as Affinity Designer. So this is the part of the program that we're going to stay in. And the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is splitting a line. So first I'm going to take my pen tool, and I'm just going to draw a line across because I want to split the top of the skirt and the bottom of the skirt so that I can make a flared skirt. So I'm just going to find a place to put my line. I'm going to hold the shift key down and then connect my lines across. So I think that's pretty good. Let me just edit this line here. Okay. And now that I have this line across, I want to split the line here on the left and the line on the right. So this would be considered like my center seam and my side seam. So I need to split that so that I can separate the two pieces. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to select the line, and I'm going to use the node tool, and I'm going to come where these two lines meet. Another thing before I move forward, which I forgot to say, is up on the right-hand corner, you want to make sure snapping is on. Snapping is shaped like a magnet. This is necessary to just kind of find alignments and connections and lines automatically without you having to find it yourself when you're trying to line things up within the program. So it's selected when you know that it's a darker color, like a black color. So I have it selected now. And with the node tool selected, I am going to find where they're aligned, and I'm just going to click and drop a node there. After I drop the node, I'm going to right click on my mouse, and I'm going to select break curve. Now, it doesn't appear that something happened, but it did. If I select this and just drag this out, it separated the line. And I'm going to undo that because I don't want it to drag out like that. So I'm going to come to the next line, and I am going to select, hold on, and I'm going to find that same, oops, hold on, let's select the line. get my node tool, and the same process. Once I see that red line across on this line up, then I know I have centered it correctly. I'm going to click. So that's a left click, and then I'm going to right click, break the curve. I'm going to undo and do that one more time. So we are on the next line here. You see that this line is already selected. That's why we can see that blue, but we need to slide down until we find that red and see it's lined up. So we're going to left click and then right click and then break the curve. Okay. And it has broken the curve, although you don't see it. When I pull it apart, it has separated it. So we're going to undo that. And so now we have just broken the curve, well, the lines, which is the center front and the side seam. Next, we're going to pull this apart now. So now we have to select our move tool. Okay, that's the arrow. And now what I want to do is I want to select this bottom area here. I can hover over and select, but then it's going to grab the top. So you can just select the bottom and the line by holding the shift key. And I'm just going to pull it away while holding the shift key. And now I have just separated the skirt top and the bottom of the skirt. Now I need to reconnect this line here. So I'm going to get my pen tool and I'm going to, let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to select one side, click, hold down the shift key, and then select the other side. So that rejoins everything. Now we have separated, basically spread this apart. And so now next I'm going to demonstrate how to do the same thing down here with the slash, and then we're going to spread. Okay, so now we're going to slash in the bottom part of the skirt because we want to create a flared bottom for our skirt. So the same technique that I used up here where I drew the line and slashed the top and bottom pieces is the same technique I'm going to do. I'm going to do it vertically. Up here I did it horizontally. Down here I'm going to do it vertically. So I'm going to select the pen tool and I'm just going to select, I'll probably just divide it into 3 or 4. So holding the shift key, because I want it to keep a straight line, I am going to select, I'm going to click and I'm going to press escape. And so that just basically deselects it so that I'm not creating another line. And I'll show you what happens if you don't select escape. And I'm going to hold the shift down. Now, if I don't end this selection here, when I come here to start another line, it's going to connect down there. So you just press escape twice and it will deselect. And I'm going to come up here and do the same thing again. Hold down shift and we're done. So now I need to line these up. So I'm just going to make sure when I move these, I need to hold down the shift key. I'm going to use the move tool. Yeah, with the move tool, you really don't need to hold down shift. It's just gonna move it without you having to hold down the shift key. All right. So now that we have our lines, we have to now go and divide each section because when we separate these, we need them to all have their own separate lines. Okay, so now let's see, where do we want to start? I think I will start down here. So this is the line that we need to constantly have some breaks. Okay, so once again, we're going to select our node tool. We're going to zoom in, and the same thing applies. That those lines are all lit up. We're going to select, click, left click, then right click, then break the curve. We're going to keep moving, do the next one, left click, right click, break the curve. Next, same thing. Left click, right click, break the curve. So we should have broken the curve for all of these. We need to do the same thing up here because when we do our whether we're spreading or slashing and pivoting, we need these to be broken. So we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to select our line and we're going to move in a little. We're going to wait for that to line up. Left click, right click, break the curve. Again, if we hover over, it lights up. We left click on your mouse, right click on your mouse, select break curve. Left click, right click, break the curve. So we've done all of them. And you can kind of see that it shows you it's divided. Okay. So now that we've accomplished that, we are going to actually do two steps here. Actually not two steps, but two demonstrations. I think the first one I want to do is spread, and then I'll go back and show you the pivot. So to do the spread option, you do want to first figure out how far, depending on what you're making, how far you want to spread. I would suggest changing your settings in this program so that when you move your arrow key, that it will move in a certain increment of measurements. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute. Okay, so in order for us to do like the spreading or to go a specific distance, we're going to need to set our nudge tool, or it's not a tool, but the nudge option. So within every software, and even in your computer, every time you use that space key or the arrow up and down, left and right keys, it goes a specific distance. So within Affinity, when you're using it for pattern making, you want to set a specific distance so that it will help you to calculate how far you have taken a particular piece, especially when it comes to um, grading or creating seam allowance. So we're going to set our nudge distance. So to do that within Affinity, and this will not affect the nudge distance within another software. So when we set it up here, it will only affect this particular software in Affinity. So we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Settings, and you're going to go to Tools, and you're going to scroll down a little, and you're going to see nudge distance right here, nudge distance. And whether you're working in millimeters, centimeters, meters, inches, you set that preference. So I work in inches, and how I want my nudge tool to move is a 1/4 inch each time I nudge it. So and anytime that I use my up key, arrow up key, or the right, left, or down, it's going to move 0.25 inches, which is a 1/4 inch. So you set yours the way that you want it. If you want it to move a half of inch, or a 3/4 of an inch, you just calculate that. And you have to calculate it into decimal. So you have to turn it from the fraction to the decimal. And if you're not able to do that with, math, Google is your friend. You can literally Google that and it will come up for the conversion charts. Also, anytime you're doing any kind of like grading, you can always come in and change that before move any um, part of your pattern to grade. So if you need an eighth of an inch, you just come in and make the changes. So I'm going to keep mine at 0.25. So it's already done there. So you just save it, close, and now we're going to move, which is spread our tool, excuse me, our pattern. So with the move tool selected, we are going to select, well, let's select all of these here, and we're going to select, we're going to use our move arrow to the right, and I'm just going to move it over just one time, which is, so that means that this was spread a half, excuse me, mine's is a 1/4 inch. So I just moved it a quarter. So if I want to move it a half inch, that would be a half inch. Okay. And then I'm going to select the last two and I'm going to click twice. And then I am going to click, do the same thing. And then once I've spread everything, if I need to have my lines back on the pieces that I spread, I just come and do that. Hold down Shift. This is using the pen tool. I click Escape twice, hold down Shift with the pen tool to get that straight line, and just select Escape twice. So now I've spread this. And then if you need to come back to make this like, a gathered bottom of the skirt, then you would delete all this and then make your pattern for this size. So that is how you would spread within pattern making. This is called spreading. So this is how you do spreading. So now I'm going to demonstrate the slash and spread where it's at a pivot, where you're pivoting it. So that is next. Okay, so in this part, I'm going to demonstrate the slash and pivot. So we already did slash. Now, without doing the spread that we did previously, we're just going to pivot. That means that we want to keep um, this top part the size of the upper area of the skirt here, but we want to flare out the bottom. Okay, so now this is basically the same two tools that we've been using. So now we're going to select, make sure our move tool is selected. And what we're going to do is I'm going to spread each pivot. I'm going to pivot each of these slashes because remember we already slashed these. Okay, so they're good to go. So what I'm going to do is select with my move tool this area. Okay, so I've selected these last ones here. And once you selected that, this is the move tool. You're going to see this little move tool setting icon pop up. You're going to select that. And we're going to enable transform origin. Now when we click that, there's this little circle here. Hopefully you can see it. This little tiny bullseye circle that comes up right here. And what you can do is like when you hover over it, you see that little cross, little X that comes up like cross. that allows you to move this little bullseye. So we're going to take that and we can move it around. Now we want to move that to this point right here because this is where we have to angle and pivot. So we're going to just move that there until it locks into place. It's literally snaps. That's why it's important to have our magnet snapping tool on. And so now that is positioned right there. And what I'm going to do is you see this, I don't know what this is called, but this part of I guess this node that rotates, rotating node, I don't know, that's what I'm going to call it. This is going to allow us to rotate at that this whole entire section that we selected. And we're going to just take that and it's going to just rotate it. Okay. And it gives you the degrees and the angles and everything. You can put it into this area down at the bottom where it's a transformation panel. You can type that in and then it'll rotate it. I'm not doing that. But if you choose to do that and you know the degrees that you want to rotate it, to each its own. Okay, so we're going to do that again because now we have to go and select this set here. And then remember where after you select it, you're going to come to the little gear icon, which is the move tool settings. You're going to select that. It's already enabled. So I don't have to do it again. So now I just need to come here and I'm just going to try to zoom in as much as I can so that you can see it. And hopefully that's big enough. And I'm just going to just hover over and then it literally locks into place. That tells you that it's locked in. So it's at the correct angle. And I'm just going to come out a little just to show you. Now, just so you can see the tool that we're going to rotate, it's here. And once you see that little curved arrow, the curved double-sided arrow, that's when you're ready to rotate. So now we're going to get that and then we're going to rotate. Ah, so what did I do? I did not select the bottom. So if you make a mistake, just Control Z. On a Mac, I do believe it's Command Z. I can't remember. Haven't used the Mac in a while. So I forgot to select this bottom one. So we're going to hold Shift, select it. Now, when we do that, it does reset our pivot point. So we have to come back and put that back. So that's why you got to make sure you select everything. Lock it into place, zoom out, and there we go. So we just pivoted that. And for the last one, we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to select, I think I got it selected now. Sorry about my phone. Okay. And remember, we hover over and we zoom in. And I don't think I mentioned how to zoom in and out. So zooming in is control. So I have a mouse with a scroll on it, like the scroll button in the middle. I don't know what that's called, but I have a mouse like that. Maybe I'll try to drop a picture of it, but I don't think any mouses come without it now. I think it's kind of standard. So you hold down the control button, the control key, and you roll that mouse, and that gives you the option to go in and out. To go left and right, to go up and down, you just use your mouse. Um, I can't remember how to go left and right. I don't remember how to do. Well, I usually just hold down my mouse key and then usually drag and go left and right. So, yeah, this is me holding down the center of the mouse, the scroll. It has a button on it so that I can just kind of drag my artboard. Okay, so back to it. We're going to position this last one here and it snaps right to where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to pivot that. Okay. So now we have everything pivoted the way that it's supposed to be. And if you need a visual, you need to see, let me just snap everything into place. So boom, snap that and that. And again, I usually just select escape twice. That one is not straight. Okay, there we go. And that's just no, that is still not straight. What the heck is going on here? Let's get closer. I don't know what's happening. Okay, hopefully that's straight. Okay, so now that basically gives you the slash and pivot is what we did. Okay. And that's usually just to create that flare bottom of the skirt. And of course, you can pivot as high as you want. If you need to split it up more, maybe you want to get it into almost a half a circle, you can do that. Uh, so next, I think I'm going to demonstrate the seam allowance. Um, yeah, we're going to demonstrate seam allowance. Okay, so with the theme allowance, we are going to, let's go up here and do that. Okay, so with the seam allowance, I'm trying to remember. Okay, I think that yeah, no, we have to separate this. Okay, I didn't separate up here. So with this, we're going to select the skirt and select the node tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to go around and break the curve. So I'm going to break, and then I need to break this one as well. Does this one break? I think it's already broken here. There we go. This one we're going to break it as well. The reason why I have to break the curves is so that it individually gives us um the seam allowance. So like for the center skirt, we don't need a seam here, a seam allowance, but we'll need one like um on the waistband, on the side seam, and here. So once everything is broken, we just have to break the curves. It individually creates a line. So with that line selected, I'm going to copy. You can either right click and select copy or use Control C, which is right here. So we're going to copy and then we're going to right click again and we're going to paste, which is Control V. In the Mac, it's Command V, and we're going to paste. So now that gave us a duplicate of this line. So with our setting of our node, our nudge tool to 1/2 inch, no, mine's is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to press my right arrow key twice because I want a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to go one. I do believe that's 1/4 inch. That's looking wild to me. But then again, this is not a sized pattern. Now, if you wanted to measure the distance, there is a ruler key, I mean a ruler. Here we are on the measurement tool. Now, if you don't see it on your toolbar, you can press these 3 buttons here and it will bring up your options to add whatever it is that you want to add to your menu. You just select it and drag. So I already have the measurement tool, but let's say if I wanted to add this, you just you select it. No, you don't even have to drag. I think you just select it. Yeah, I think you just select it. Like if I wanted to zoom or something, I don't even know. Oh, I already have that. Wait. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to. Yeah, you just drag and select. So it will go there. So I'm not dropping that in there, but I don't think I need this. I think yeah, it will add it. Ah, I don't know why it's not showing it, but yeah, but that's how you add that if you don't see the measurement tool. So with the measurement tool, I'm going to select the ruler, the measuring tool, and it's going to give me the distance. So I can click here to here, and it is a 1/2 inch. So because it looks bigger, because again, I forgot this is not a sized pattern. This is a pattern that is just a small, um, like 8.5 by 11 on a sheet of paper, like that kind of thing. So we're going to make it a 1/4 inch instead, the seam allowance instead. So that doesn't look so big. So that's a 1/4 inch. Okay. So then we're going to do the same thing again for the next line. So we select the next line. We're going to copy, Control C. We're going to paste, Control V. We're going to select the down arrow tool and we're going to click it once. And that is a 1/4 inch. We do the same thing for the next line. Copy, paste, Control. Okay. And of course, these lines you'll need to connect these lines. One thing that I wish they had, which is in another software that I use for patterns, I don't know if they have it, but to kind of connect these nodes, but not connect it at where they sit, but connect it at a proper angle. So you just gotta you gotta do it yourself manually. So we just have to add to that and just kind of get it as straight as possible. So normally I would just add to this. That is not what I do. So you come up here and then you just have to kind of play around with the angles. Okay, that's getting wild. Okay. And then you'll just have to play around with that. And the lines are thick because I made the lines kind of thick here just for this demonstration. And you do the same thing to just connect that and use your shift key if you want to hold it straight and it will connect. Same thing here. So again, I don't know if they have a tool that will angle it. Now, the nudge tool is great when you're doing grading. So like if you're grading a pattern by splitting it up and you have different increments that you need to go to grade that pattern, whether it's 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, and so forth. That's what that tool is great for when you have to move and spread and slash and all of those different things. So I think I covered everything that I just kind of basically want to show. I don't know if I forgot anything. This also applies for dart manipulation as well for the pattern top as well, or for moving the dart. It all kind of applies to that. um, with the slash and pivot, rotate, pivot. If you want that demonstration, just leave it in the comments and I'll demonstrate that as well. But Affinity is a great option for you to use instead of Adobe Illustrator, especially if you need to get rid of that subscription. I've been using it for a lot of my artwork. I've been using it for some patterns, and this is how I actually make my PDFs as well for just my pattern instructions. These are things that I am more than happy to share on how to, set up your whole entire pattern system so that you can even sell the patterns and prepare them for selling. Let me know if that's something you guys want to learn about, and I'll gladly share the process. Also, Affinity does have this area here that's called assets. And I know you can see like some things, like I have a whole bunch of assets that I've created, sketches and things of that nature. But one thing that they do have that you can do with the assets is constantly have them readily available. So for instance, let me just clear this board. Actually, my board is too small for what I'm about to drop, so I'm going to resize this. Let's just make a new board here. Okay, so just as a quick example, let's say I've made my pattern blocks, or just my standard for, let's say I have a client and she's like a size 8, and I fit her for the pattern blocks, and everything is fit perfectly. So now I can draft patterns from her size and create different designs for her for custom clothing. So I have I can keep her pattern blocks here in the asset section. And let's say, for instance, I don't know if you could see it, but I know you could see like the curve ruler here. So like, that's just the ruler that I did many years ago. I was able to bring it in from Illustrator into here. But let's say I have a pattern block. Here's one where I rotated the dart. This is me just practicing, but I'm able to just pick it and drag it out of my assets. And this is a pattern block that's ready to use. Whenever you create anything, excuse me, in Affinity, as long as you group it, so after I manipulated the skirt and everything, as long as I, group it, I'm able to take that and add it as an asset that I can come back and use again. So let's say this is my, you know, um, dart that I moved the client, and I want to continue further manipulating it. I can just pull it out from my assets and use it. You just ungroup it and then continue to manipulate the pattern as you see fit. And then when you make changes or set another pattern, you can drop it into your assets. Again, if you want me to demonstrate some more of this, I can do that. But Affinity, I feel like, is a better option to use rather than paying a subscription fee for Adobe Illustrator. I am trying to right now I'm in the process of just using all Affinity's products to replace Adobe because the subscription is getting out of hand, and I have better places to put my money. And the subscription fees, you know, in life, you're already paying for Netflix, you're already paying for Hulu, you're already paying for cable, internet, all these other subscriptions that we need to use on a day to day. I'm an artist, I'm a pattern maker, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a fashion designer. Um, I have so many things that I use the vectors for. I create SVGs for customers, and I also do rhinestone files. And I use Illustrator to do a lot of different things, and it's still costly because just for Illustrator alone is a pretty penny. So if I want to add Photoshop and I want to add other things, then I have to go and add that subscription. At one point, I was paying $60 to $70 a month just for, I think it was 3 programs. I think it was the same ones that I now use in Affinity because I had to create a lot of interactive PDFs for clients. I had to create, edit in Photoshop and so much more. So I have been trying to transition over a couple of years into Affinity. So I became more hardcore at the transition when they had released Affinity 2. Because I had purchased Affinity 1, then I upgraded to 2, and then I was determined to like use it. So a lot of drawings I'll even do on like my iPad. So they have the Affinity Designer on iPad. I know they're supposed to come up with the new Affinity on the iPad. It hasn't been released yet, at least not to my knowledge. But once that even gets released, it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be better. And another thing too, once Affinity releases that on the iPad, the Affinity 3 version, you can then take your work and mobily, like, just use a small device like your iPad, or whether it's your other tablet, um to create your patterns. So that's one definite way. And then even if you don't have a computer, still right now, if you already have Affinity Designer that you've already downloaded on your iPad, you can today create patterns on that. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer. I do intend on bringing a lot more tutorials that will help you to develop your fashion brand and to develop you as a designer, whether you want to learn how to do rhinestoning, embroidery. Well, the embroidery is a no right now, but pattern making, fashion sketching. I just have a lot of resources, SVGs, and you can also visit our website at www.campusoffashion.com for all the additional services. I also have some patterns well, I have one right now, one bag pattern on there, but I also have some other patterns that I'm developing to put for sale. I've kind of haven't done that in a while, but I do have pattern selling on Etsy and other platforms. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helps you to get your pattern journey started. Again, my name is EJ McPherson, and thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like and leave a comment. Bye.